Okay, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to try to speak that in Japanese. Konnichiwa, gosanka, itakadi, arigato, gozaimasu. Thank you. I knew I was going to get stuck, but thank you very much. All right, thank you very much for coming, and I know that we'll probably have more people join us as we continue, but we have to start because we have a lot of work to do this afternoon. Yes, thank you for making the journey here. I know we've traveled several miles to be here, and we've got a job to do. It's a great opportunity to be part of the World Assembly, to come together as health and safety professionals, and to define what the future will look like in terms of protecting people. So thank you very much for your time and for coming. And I'd like to say just ahead that this is not just a normal conference where we sit and listen. This is going to be a very interactive session. We're going to have workshops. We want you to bring the very best of yourself to the conversation. We brought professionals, experienced professionals from all over the world to be part of this afternoon session. So please roll up your sleeves. Don't get tired. If you need coffee, get one. We have work to do this afternoon because we need to give a gift, a very special gift to the world. It's going to make it into the declaration that we're all going to make after this World Assembly. It's going to transition into frameworks that we have to promote very actively in our various organizations and countries that we've come from. So let's make this moment and this next 3 hours count. So just a reminder, this session is being hosted by IOHA and INSHPO, International Occupational Hygiene Association, and the International Network of Safety and Health Professionals, professional organizations. So we're going to be doing this jointly. My name is Matthew Olota, and I will be your moderator. I'm going to have Nathan Winter. He's going to be working very closely with me. And we have some very fantastic and very passionate speakers. I'm going to take time to introduce them very briefly, and I'm going to invite them to that table over there. First on the list, I've got Dr. Young Park. Dr. Young Park is a professor and dean at Angshan University, Korea. He has served as the president of the Korean Occupational Safety and Health Agency, KOSHA, from 2017 to 2021. And has previously led its research institute. He's a founding president of the Asian Network of Occupational Hygiene, and he has also held presidencies at IOHA, so he's a former IOHA president, and also former president for the Korean Industrial Hygiene Association. He has actively collaborated with occupational hygienists across Asia and served in the Singapore International Advisory Panel and the Workplace Safety and Health Council for Future of Work Center. Dr. Park was honored with the Asian Network's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017 and the IOHA Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021 for his contribution to industrial hygiene. Please welcome Dr. Park. Next, I'm going to call Nancy Wilk. Nancy Wilk is a Senior Technical Director in EHS and Industrial Hygiene at WSP Canada, with 38 years of experience across public and private sectors. She's a certified industrial hygienist, and she currently serves as the president of IOHA, and she's a board member for the ACGIH. Nancy is a 2025 AIHA Fellow and has received numerous honors, including the 2024 ACGIH Meritorious Achievement Award. She holds a Master's of Health Sciences in Occupational Hygiene from University of Toronto and is widely recognized for her leadership and contributions to occupational health and industrial hygiene globally. Nancy, thank you very much. Please make it to this table. Next on the list is Greg Diesley. Greg is a global health and safety leader with 23 years of experience across corporate consultancy and government sectors. He has worked in industries across construction, waste, and local and central government. He's a certified cultural intelligence facilitator, Greg holds qualification in OHS and adult education and leadership. He has served as president of the New Zealand Institute of Safety Management and the International Network of Safety and Health Professional Organizations, and on the Governance Group of Health and Safety Association of New Zealand. Greg now focuses on the role of cultural intelligence in improving safety leadership across diverse workplaces worldwide. Thank you, Greg. Next, we have Hirohiko Nakahara. Nakahara is an expert in industrial hygiene and occupational safety with 30 years of experience. He has held key roles at ExxonMobil, Tonel General Sekiyu, and ENEOS, and now leads the NIOSH Consulting and conducts research at the Japanese National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. He is a government-certified occupational health and safety consultant and a professional engineer. He has also lectured at Teiyo, Jutundo, and the University of Occupational and Environmental Health. He serves as chair of the technical department of Japan Society for Occupational Health and is active in many academic societies. Please welcome Nakahara. Next, we've got Takaharu Kishi. Kishi is an expert in environmental science and occupational health and in chemical safety. After earning his doctorate from the University of Tokyo in 2007, he worked as a researcher at Mitsubishi Chemical and later as a consultant at Mizuho, becoming chief consultant in 2020. In 2023, he became associate professor at the University of Tsukuba and will serve as an advisor to Chemican Incorporation and Salus Incorporation from 2025. He holds a government certification in hazardous materials and explosive safety, and is active in multiple academic societies as well, including Japan Society for Occupational Health and Japan Taniki Society. Please welcome Kishi. Yeah, I think it's good to introduce my rapporteur as well, Nathan Winter. Nathan is a seasoned leader in occupational health and safety with 25 years of experience across industry, including mining, oil and gas, and manufacturing. He is the founder of Nathan Winter and Associates, and he was awarded the Best Governance and Risk Management Consultancy Company in 2025 by the Australian Enterprise Award. Nathan holds qualification in environmental toxicology, business administration, OH&S management. He's a chartered fellow of the Australian Institute of Health and Safety, and he's also the immediate past president of INSHPO. Nathan supports ESG initiatives and modern slavery compliance, contributing to global safety standards and governance excellence. Thank you, Nathan. A little bit about myself. Matthew Olota is a chartered occupational hygienist with 15 years of experience across oil and gas, manufacturing, and aviation sector. He currently works with Irving Oil Limited in New Brunswick, Canada, and holds certification in, he holds the CIH certification in the CSP, and is a chartered member of the BOHS. He is immediate past president of the Industrial Hygiene Association of Nigeria and the president-elect of the International Occupational Hygiene Association. He holds an engineering degree from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria, and a master's in occupational and environmental health from the University of Portsmouth in UK. All right, that was quick, but if you would like to know more about your speakers, I'll give you like 10 seconds to scan the barcode and you can see details of their, more details of their bio. So, seconds. All right, so why we do that, right? This workshop, we're going to try to, we're going to mix it all together. We're going to start with the speakers coming forward to, to get us going. So they're going to be speaking for 20 minutes each. We're going to have a little break, then we'll come back for a workshop, and hopefully we'll finish very timely in 3 hours. But before we start, I want to set the stage. This chart that you see on the screen I think a lot of people probably can connect with this chart. And basically what I'm trying to show here is that we can take some credit from what we've done in terms of safety management and occupational health management over the years. We have folks in the room that have practiced for 20, 30 years, so there must be some benefit. So we've done different things from regulations to safety management system. And I would say yes, we're probably going down in some way, depending on what part of the world you're from or where you work. There have been some gains. This is US data, but there have been some gains everywhere you have a form of safety management. But the point is, are we protecting people enough? Are we there? And I don't think, and you all probably will agree with me that we are not there yet. And that's why we think we should talk about partnerships. Maybe partnership will take us further down to have less incidents, less number of people exposed, better protection for people. Well, there's also big stories around different parts of the world that are underserved. We also have places where we have workers that are not looked after in formal work sector. So those are still areas where we need to look at and be creative and think about what we can do or what can come out of this session that we can give to the world to take us to the next level. But we really believe that partnership can do a lot of work. So who is involved? We talked about partnership, so we'll try to reflect before now. So who were the partners in health and safety? Probably we have just the professionals, the workforce, and we have the health professionals, maybe occupational physicians, the doctors, the nurses. And I think we've moved on a bit, but maybe the partnership is not strong enough, but there are some elements of partnership with OSH professionals, human resources. I had a human resources lady speaking earlier in one of the workshops today. So there are some partnership because sustainability professionals, ESG analysts, data scientists, the finance folks, insurance are also stakeholders, professional associations that we all belong to, government agencies, the academia, international agencies. So there's some bit of partnership going on, but can we strengthen it? And what does the future look like? So the future, what we have now, everything that we have now needs to be strengthened, I would say. We need to engage the workforce more, maybe more passionate and equipped, OSH professionals, and of course, researchers. These are just my own thoughts, and I'm sure you have several thoughts as regards what does partnership look like in the future, and we expect that you bring that to the conversation as we go into the workshops. To get us going, I've got another assignment for all of us. Can we just scan the QR code? 3 quick surveys, and I will be out of here to give to you the stage to the speakers. On a scale of 1 to 5, how much have you explored the opportunities in OSH partnership? So just vote very quickly. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. 2 more seconds. Okay. All right. I think you all agree with me that this is showing us that we are on different levels. It's not consistent. Okay. Next one. So let's talk about the organization where you serve or the country where you operate. How much has OSH partnership been promoted? Is it actually being promoted? Okay. So we have some yes, some no's. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So as the speakers will come up to speak, I want us to cast your mind back to these votes and what you can see on the screen and see how we can come up with ideas on how to strengthen what we have, how to make all of this yes. The last one here. So who do you consider as your number one partner? Who is your number one partner in occupational safety and health? You will need to type. There's a word cloud. Let's see. INSHPO, public health. Engineers, employees, everyone. Okay? Can see a lot of people say occupational health physicians. Sorry, Nathan, can you take a screenshot of this? You have, good, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to invite the speakers and they will just take turns and it will just roll till we finish. So we start with Dr. Park. Dr. Park, please. So before I hand it over to Dr. Park, I wanted to say the outcome of this workshop, there will be some immediate takeaway. I know we're going to take something away that we can start implementing immediately. And we're going to collect all your ideas and roll it into the declaration, the roadmap, and more to come about that. But please make connections as well, network, and build partnership even right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Young Park, and my presentation today is, The title is The Future of our OHS Partnerships and Interprofessional Collaboration. And when we started the discussion about this workshop last year, actually the main theme was not this one. So I submitted different topics, actually. But during the discussion, I was asked to change my abstract, my presentation, to align the main theme of this workshop. The main theme is the future of OHS partnership and the relationship with our other professionals. So I have been thinking, and why we have to have this theme for the partners, developing the partnerships and the collaboration with other professional organizations or other professionals. So here I went back to the original industrial hygiene concept. The core element of the industrial hygiene is I think the 5 activities. That is the anticipation, recognition, evaluation, and control and confirmation, and generally for the 5 health hazards. There's a physical, chemical, biological, and the physiological. That's like ergonomic issues, and the last one is the psychological health hazard. That's the typical 5 health hazards that we have to deal with in industrial hygiene field. So here, for the last 50 years, industrial hygiene has been developed based on core element of the evaluation. That's the sampling and analysis. So the industrial hygiene, traditional health hazard, like a physical health hazard, noise, vibration, and heat, something like that, and chemicals, gas and vapor, and dust fumes, and also the biological agents. They have developed a very innovational concept of the permissible exposure limit. Actually, this is, I think, the core element of the industrial hygiene. So based on this one, we could develop some sampling techniques and the strategies. And sampling and analysis was a core element for the occupational hygiene. And we are based on the kind of similar exposure groups, the concept of similar exposure groups. So if we take the samples in a day or a couple of times a year for representative workers, then we could believe that we can make a decision whether they are unsafe or not. But these days, the condition was changed. The most work site, the concentration has been lowered, and the increased, the irregular exposure has been increased, especially for the irregular and non-typical workers. And also, there was some the high exposure, peak exposure, that is different from the STEL, short-term exposure limit. There's some workers, the temporary workers, or even for the regular workers, they are exposed at the different exposure patterns. They are at different exposure patterns, and sometimes they are exposed at a very high exposure, even for the large enterprises, workers. So, in this condition, our traditional method, our core tools has the limitations to evaluate for those conditions or those exposures. So therefore, to cover this one, the real-time continuous exposure is necessary to get the exposure profile or to protect workers. So this was impossible in the past. However, these days, as you know, the sensor technology, the advanced sensor technology, and also the IoT technology, it is possible. There are a huge number of the different sensors are developing, and some of this one is very effective to measure not the quantitatively or qualitatively. However, using this kind of sensor, we can track the exposure patterns. So we can make a judgment based on the relative concentration. For example, the average concentration, the peak exposure compared to the average exposure, or based on the daily exposure changes, we can make some decisions without knowing the exact specific chemicals or the absolute concentration. And with the combination of the different sensors, we can get the more accurate the information. So, and combined with this, the IoT technology and with the communication technology, like a 5G or Wi-Fi, and these just signal from the sensors can be interpreted by the AI technology automatically and right away, and they could give the very useful information. I think in the future, this kind of technology, combined technology, will impact a lot, and maybe it will strengthen us, industrial hygiene, because our core technology can be replaced by this kind of the new technology. And in other aspects, we can have the opportunity in the future if we adopt or if we use this technology in the future. So in this summary, without embracing the AI technology, our field cannot be survived, I think, or we can be, we will be obsolete, isolated, or outdated. So what we can do, what can we do, or what we have to do? I think that there are basically two categories. One is the very passive mode we can be in, or we can change our the strategy to be in active mode. So in for the passive mode, we can adapt this technology. We use this technology based on the traditional framework to measure the TWA or to measure the cell, like that. Or in the different ways to be in the active mode, we can actively participate in developing the future technology together. We can design the AI integrated exposure monitoring system because we have our goal protect workers' health, and we have the knowledge and for the workers' exposure, and for example, the health hazard and the toxicology, and also the regulation. So AI technology, the expert or the professional, they are expert in the sensors and IoT and the AI technology. However, they probably their knowledge for the occupational health is very weak. So they may don't know how to integrate this AI technology for the occupational hygiene. That's why we have to collaborate with these experts, the AI expert or other professional organizations together to develop this one. And we can learn together the both sides. And also, the AI technology, they have the advantages also and disadvantages. And sometimes the AI technology can affect the workers' health. They can determine the workplaces, the safety and health. Therefore, the safety area, safety professional, and the occupational health professional, we can make some guidelines for the AI technology in the future. And also, with what kind of data and how we can change our data and generate our data or modify our data to use the AI correctly. That is another area. So I think that there are a lot of the areas that we can develop the partnership or collaboration with this kind of the areas. So the IOH as a professional body, the leading body in occupational hygiene, we can work together with the institute first. There are a lot of the institute or the research institute in many countries or many areas, and we can work together first to expand the professionalism to the new technology in the future for the future. So to do this, I think that we need to have a formal structure to have some outcome in the future. So just this is the idea. When I prepared this presentation, I thought what we can do in this workshop together. And if we really want to develop or explore the partnership or collaboration with other professionals, then maybe we have to invite the other professionals and other organizations to discuss together. But mostly, as I know, the most participants here, come from the occupational health area. Therefore, in this workshop, I think it is kind of the starting point. So therefore, here we need to start from the IOHA and with the some OH professional organization, especially for the research organizations. Therefore, I would like to propose or to discuss about this idea to formalize a committee under the IOHA. So this is just the idea dimension, the IOHA AI committee. And under this committee, we can have some subcommittee like gas direct reading instruments or the particulate direct reading instrument. And some of this, the committee already established by the NIOSH, but we can work together with them. And some subcommittee for the AI workers' health or workers' health in the AI era. So to do this, I think that we have our weapon, core weapon. I think the core weapon is the permissible exposure limit. Permissible exposure limit, as you know, that is based on the traditional sampling and analysis framework, like a TWA C, that is the all of this kind of the regulation or permissible exposure limit, that is the combined with current sampling strategy. However, in the future, if we adopt the new technology, like new sensors or new IoT, then maybe we need to develop another framework for the permissible exposure limit that is totally different from the current one. So I think it is time to discuss about this one. Without knowing the specific the chemical species or the absolute concentration, maybe with this combined the sensors or the technology and the continuous exposure monitoring for 20 hours, 24 hours, and 364 days, all days, all years. The lifetime exposures can be possible theoretically. So with this data, we can need to develop some the permissible exposure limit to provide or combined with this new framework. And another issue, that is the new emerging health hazard, like a psychological health hazard. Even though this is already raised, the ergonomy issues already has been raised. However, still the ergonomy issues and the stress issues, is the challenging because the previous the physical and chemical and biological agents, we thought they could be measured scientifically, objectively, and technically. However, the psychological or physiological agent, there is no universal tools to measure the exposure. Actually, we have some checklist. But basically, that is based on the symptoms, the worker's response, worker's feeling, and some of the tools like the ergonomic, the evaluation tools. That is not the universal tool, not as perfect. Therefore, for this one, the ergonomic issues or stresses, because they are the matter of subjective and individual and the relative ones. So every worker has different, the feelings or symptoms or the health effect, even though the same working condition or same working environment. So the multiple approaches and new approaches with the collaboration with other organizations like ergonomic, the professional bodies and the medical, the associations, we need to work together with the teams. So it has been proposed many times by some organizations like IOHA or other the European organizations. But the IOHA, because we are facing seriously the physiological agents and psychological agents, we need to develop some formal the collaboration or partnership with the International Ergonomic Association and also the ICO. We have worked together with ICO. However, with specific the topics like ergonomic issues and the psychological issues, we have not actually, we have not much experience with the collaboration, or not much experience of collaboration with these organizations. So for total workers' health, we are based on the occupational hygiene tools. And we have unique tools, and we have a lot of the professional experiences. So to work together, we can make some draft to make a proposal with the IEA and also the ICO or other organizations. This is just an example, or a typical one. When I prepared these slides, I thought The first speaker is just initiation. So to initiate this discussion, I just brought some the general idea. So not only for the IEA and ICO, in the national level, each country, they have the organizations of the ergonomics and also the expert in the ergonomic area and the occupational medicine. Then in the IOHA level dimension, we need to some framework to work together under the IOHA at the national level or business level or expert level, how we can work together with these other professionals or professional bodies. So this is what I thought during this preparing the presentation. And during the discussion, I'd like to get more feedback from the participants. Then I would like to propose to make a formal paper or proposal in the name of the IOHA. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Park. Nancy, you ready? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Konnichiwa, and thank you for being here. Domo arigato gozaimasu. So IOHA is currently focused on building meaningful, impactful partnerships. As we know that when we work together, we can accomplish much more than we can when we work individually. There is strength in our collective and benefits in our diversity. As we partner, our journey may be slower than acting individually. However, we will go much farther. Partnerships help us to fulfill goals, and our commitments, they help us to keep promises. This presentation will highlight opportunities to improve occupational health and hygiene and well-being, and effective, meaningful partnerships that can help us get it done. So as I set the stage for partnerships, I want to highlight some opportunities for improvement for occupational health and hygiene, and I'm calling this the issues list. So first of all, we need to do a much better job at preventing chronic, non-communicable occupational disease. The world, workplace, and workers are changing, and rapidly. We need new models. Using the safety model to address health is not working. New models that include health and well-being. We know that health hazards do not always have defined starting and stopping points, and chronic health hazards typically do not. Not like a safety hazard, where a machine that needs a guard or a piece of heavy mobile equipment with which we may interact for a moment in time. With health and well-being, it's more of a continuum. We need new research, standards, and guidance to meet the needs of today's global, diverse workforce. We need to align with efforts underway to address issues that are important to the people and the communities that we serve. Where there are weak or non-existent regulatory frameworks, we need other approaches. I suggest alignment with the aims and efforts of the United Nations and the International Labour Organization. And we need a lot more nationally accredited occupational hygienists everywhere. Why? Because we need greater worker protections globally. We need people, systems, measures, and forums in place such that occupational health and hygiene are considered a global priority and remain a global priority. So let's take a look at each of these together. First, the issue of chronic non-communicable occupational disease. Globally, the most prevalent non-communicable occupational diseases include respiratory diseases, skin diseases, musculoskeletal disorders, hearing loss, cancer, and mental health disorders. Cancer, circulatory diseases, and respiratory diseases are major contributors to work-related deaths. Please note that each of these diseases is preventable. Globally, in 2021, the WHO and the ILO released a joint estimate of the burden of occupational disease and injury. This was based on data from 2000 to 2016. And these global estimates report that 1.9 million people die annually from work-related causes. 81% of that 81%, that burden, are fatalities resulting from non-communicable occupational diseases. These estimates are low and are an underestimate of the true burden of occupational disease. So we are not effectively preventing occupational disease. We must and can do better. The world and the workplace are changing, and rapidly, and the issue for us is that these changes have an impact on the worker. The first industrial revolution was triggered by the invention of the steam engine, the second by the invention of electricity, the third by the invention of the microcontroller, and the fourth by the development of the information and communication technologies and the Internet of Things. Each industrial revolution altered the risk profile of organizations as well as for workers. With Industry 5.0, there's no new technological invention. It's been triggered by the transition to the green economy, the global COVID-19 pandemic, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and complex and pressing economic and societal changes, things like climate change, biodiversity collapse, and scarce resources. Good news is, occupational hygienists, we're used to using, as we've just heard from Dr. Park, such things as AI and the Internet of Things to monitor workplace conditions, analyze data, and predict potential hazardous exposures, enabling more effective and proactive risk management. We are also, as occupational hygienists, in a great position to support organizations and Industry 5.0 due to the focus on human-centric values, health, safety, and well-being, and integration of technology to improve work environments and to protect workers. Next to the global workplace and workforce are facing fundamental change. This is due to megatrends such as rapid technological advances, pressure to work and produce more responsibly, and the rising demand to provide support for the low-carbon transition. These trends have significant implications for workers, their families, and communities, as well as for economies, sectors, businesses, governance, and operations. Macro-environmental drivers also impact the worker: globalization, technology and automation, income inequality, and shifting labor demographics. These realities need to be managed with not with resilience, but with, new word, anti-fragility. This is different than resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover from or adjust to adversity, returning to a previous state, whereas anti-fragility is the ability to not only withstand issues, shocks, and volatility, but to benefit from it, growing stronger and more capable as a result and moving forward. Anti-fragility transforms challenges into opportunities. Before I leave the issue of rapid change, I have a deep concern that I want to speak to about the ability of us to anticipate, recognize, and control. It is the silence. Let me use an example related to my current work in the mining sector. Mining is an industry with a workforce that works very hard. It is a very proud people and often willingly endures difficult working conditions. Mining, like other sectors, is undergoing rapid change in technology, pressures to mine more responsibly, and produce materials required to support the transition to a green economy. Like other workplaces, these trends and drivers or stressors are negatively impacting the health of workers, their well-being, and their mental health. Mining's remote work, intense labor, shift scheduling, and macho culture make it very high risk for poor mental health, as well as high rates of substance use and abuse, addiction, suicide, and marital breakdown and divorce. We are not hearing the silent cries of the worker. We are not aware of them. We are not seeing them or feeling them. We are failing to anticipate, recognize, and control the impact of the psychosocial and physical hazards associated with today's changing work, changing workplace, and changing worker. We have much work to do to support and care for workers, their families, and communities. In May 2024, next issue, The Lancet Public Health published a global study revealing stark differences between females and males in major causes of disease burden, underscoring the need for gender-responsive approaches to health. There is need for research standards and guidance that are representative of today's diverse global workforce related to occupational health hazards that pose a risk of potential injury, disease, or harm. Note that the majority of occupational health research is based on reference man, someone that's male, 25 to 30 years old, Caucasian, and weighs 70 kilos. Reference man does not represent women, nor the majority of humanity. Consider a British Occupational Hygiene Society report that points to urgent need for measures to protect women from becoming ill due to their work. The report indicates that more women than men suffer from worsened health due to their work. The report highlights that women carry more of the burden of occupational disease than men, and that there's an alarming gap in monitoring, measuring, and reporting on the true problem. And it notes that immediate action is needed to address this crisis. There's a dearth of research, standards, and guidance related to occupational health hazards and exposures that pose a risk of harm for women. And while I focus here on gender as an example for your consideration, diversity also includes race, ethnicity, age, social class, physical and cognitive capabilities, along with many other demographics. We lack representative research, standards, and guidance required to support effective risk management and mitigation and our practice of occupational hygiene. Next issue, it's futile to repeat the same actions without adjusting the approach when one is not getting the desired results. We need to do things differently in order to expect and realize improved outcomes in occupational health and hygiene. We need to identify and implement new models for improved worker well-being and prevention of disease, including psychological harm. Total Worker Health offers such an approach. It's an alternative, holistic, and integrated for the prevention of disease and to advance worker well-being. If you want more information on this, there are references within this presentation. Next issue, many parts of the world have weak or non-existent regulatory frameworks addressing OSH. What are we to do? We need to align our efforts in OSH and hygiene and safety and well-being to best resolve the issues that are important to the people and communities that we serve. This includes aligning with the UN Global Sustainable Development Agenda such that we leave no one behind. In a time where there remains jurisdictions around the globe without OSH regulations or weak regulations, there also remains a number of ILO member states that have not ratified the OSH-related ILO conventions, such as Convention 155, the OSH Convention, Convention 161, the Occupational Health Services Convention, Convention 171, the Night Work Convention, and Convention 187, the Promotional Framework for Occupational Safety and Health Convention. The challenges include for remaining member states to ratify these and to each to fully implement. Next issue. If we want to improve occupational safety and health for all, we need professionals to lead and support the efforts. As IOHA president, I need to tell you about this 2 ppm slide. What is 2 ppm? Well, 2 ppm is the 2025 ACGIH threshold limit value, time-weighted average for acrylonitrile, and the same for a host of other select chemical constituents. But what is it really? How unique is it? It is 2 seconds in 11.5 days. 8 dots in the painting a Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte. And a certified or accredited or registered occupational hygienist is 2 ppm based on our world population of workers. That is 2 occupational hygienists for every 1 million working people, and that's assuming homogeneity, which we know is not true, so many geographies have even less. This is not enough. The workers around the globe are largely underserved by occupational hygiene, a discipline focused on the prevention of harm and improved well-being. We need this number to increase and fast. I suggest that each of us here can contribute to overcome this challenge and be part of the solution. IOHA is committed to the growth of occupational hygiene around the globe and supporting and equipping our member associations, our affiliates, and other groups in doing their part to make this happen. There are established training programs and pathways to support those wanting to become occupational hygienists. The IOHA National Accreditation Recognition System recognizes national occupational hygiene associations that offer certification exams and are deemed to meet or exceed the IOHA criteria. Why are partnerships important? We need social connection, we need to network. Partnerships allow for sharing of knowledge and building capacity. They give rise to innovative thinking. They improve employee morale and retention. In occupational hygiene, we have many opportunities to partner. IOHA, an organization created in 1987 with now 43 member associations, we have an aim to improve, promote, and develop occupational hygiene worldwide through those organizations and improve and maintain a healthy, safe working environment for all. We represent over 20,000 occupational hygienists worldwide and a vast majority for partnerships that make a difference today and for tomorrow. Within your workplace and your sector, there are many potential partnerships that can improve health and safety and advance well-being and build and nurture sustainable and healthy workplaces. There are opportunities for you to partner across geographies and globally, as we're doing here at EXPO's Safety, Health, and Wellbeing Days. As we go equipped with our roadmap for the future, we will partner within our countries and within our local communities. These partnerships opportunities are powerful. They can affect positive change. Let's embrace our diverse experiences and be generous with our time and knowledge around the globe. And together we can successfully address these challenges, especially these emerging risks. Let me tell you about one partnership in which IOHA has been investing over the last year. The Global Occupational Safety and Health GOSH Coalition, established in 2024, now comprised of 21 international associations and NGOs. The GOSH Coalition meets regularly to address the need to raise awareness of occupational safety and health worldwide and the call for greater worker protection globally. Why? Every year, work-related diseases and injury kill close to 3 million workers, and another 374 million workers are injured on the job. The cost of these tragedies is estimated at over $5 trillion annually. That's 6% of the world's gross domestic product. The GOSH Coalition is driven by meaningful and impactful partnerships. For example, through partnership with the ILO and the OSH Working Environment Group, the GOSH Coalition is pursuing opportunities to advance the ILO strategy on OSH, to improve countries ratifying the select ILO conventions that I've noted, and promote the fundamental principle and right for workers everywhere to have a safe and healthy work environment. Here's a summary of some of the coalition's collective work, identifying ways in which we can help OSH to receive the attention that it needs globally and locally, and workers are protected. 2 areas of focus that keep rising to the top are the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the ILO conventions. We have met virtually with Joaquin Nunez, the ILO chief of OSH and the Working Environment Branch, to discuss opportunities and ways to collaborate and advance our mutual commitments and aims, including advancing the ratification of the cited ILO conventions. IOHA and the GOSH Coalition made a written submission to the United Nations Economic Social Partnerships Forum in February 2025, calling for greater protection globally, suggesting amendment to the next version of select SDGs, and reactivation of the joint WHO-ILO Committee on Occupational Health to ensure that occupational health remains a global priority. The GOSH Coalition hosted a webinar on June 11th, 2025 in advocacy, and information about the webinar can be accessed through this QR code. 2 analyses you may be interested in that are located here. One is on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and the other is on the 4 cited ILO conventions. The coalition is and will continue to be a voice globally and in local forums, calling for these same actions and inviting support and participation. So how can you help? Here are some takeaways for you and areas of focus for partnerships that you can establish and maintain. Improve occupational disease prevention. Partner with sectoral and educational groups to deliver research, standards, and guidance that are representative of our diverse global workforce for today and tomorrow. Do things differently so we can expect different improved results. Implement integrated holistic models to safety, health, and well-being to improve prevention and advance worker well-being. Align with the work and efforts of the UN and the Sustainable Development Agenda such that we leave no one behind. And for ILO member states, let's collectively work to advance ratification of the cited conventions. And please answer the call for action for more occupational hygienists. We need a lot more nationally accredited occupational hygienists everywhere. We need increased prevention of occupational disease, and we need greater focus on occupational health and well-being. We need to build capacity to serve workers today, tomorrow, globally and locally. Here's a list of references. Thank you for your presence and your participation here. A special thank you to Amazon as a general sponsor of IOHA. In closing, I wish each of you the very best as you attend and participate in the Safety, Health, and Wellbeing Days here in Osaka. Thank you for your partnership. It is powerful. Let's connect further. Domo arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Greg, you're next. We're going to have questions when we're all done with the presentation, so please hold your thoughts, hold your questions. Thank you.
So, tēnā koutou katoa and minasama konnichiwa. It's a privilege to be here today and lovely to be here in Japan, and I acknowledge the hosts from this beautiful country and the diverse expertise that is certainly represented in this room. In Aotearoa, New Zealand, we speak of whanaungatanga, which is the importance of genuine relationships built on trust and shared purpose. It's a value that aligns with Japan's own emphasis on harmony, respect, and intentional connection. As we look to the future of occupational safety and health, partnerships with other professionals are not optional, they are essential. The complexity of modern work demands interdisciplinary collaboration, cultural intelligence, and mutual respect. Today, I'll explore how we can build these relationships with purpose across roles, sectors, and cultures to create a safer, more resilient, and more human-centred workplace. The foundation of cultural intelligence began with a simple but powerful question. What makes, sorry, I'm reading the wrong notes. In the late 1990s, during the global effort to address the Y2K challenge, researcher Dr. Sun Anj observed a recurring problem. Despite hiring highly capable programmers from countries such as Australia, India, and China, she experienced significant cultural misunderstandings and conflict. These individuals she had gathered together had strong technical and cognitive skills, yet struggled to collaborate effectively across those cultural lines. This disconnect revealed a critical gap. Technical expertise alone isn't enough in an increasingly interconnected world. From this insight, the concept of cultural intelligence was born, a measurable capability that enables individuals to function effectively in culturally diverse settings. The foundation of cultural intelligence began with a simple but powerful question. What makes some individuals and organisations succeed in multicultural global contexts while others struggle. The question came into sharp focus over 20 years ago at the Nanyang Business School in Singapore. And since then, CQ, as they call it, has been rigorously researched across industries, sectors, and countries. Over 1,000 studies have been published in more than 600 peer-reviewed journals involving over 300,000 participants from 150 different countries. The research tells us that cultural intelligence isn't just about knowing every culture. Clearly, that's not practical. It's about developing the capability to adapt. CQ is practical. It goes beyond awareness or good intention. It's about the ability to adjust your behaviour, communicate effectively, and build trust across difference, even when the setting is unfamiliar or fluid. Importantly, CQ isn't limited to ethnicity or nationality. It applies across all forms of diversity, gender, age, religion, physical and mental abilities, and even organisational or generational culture. In short, CQ helps us to lead, collaborate, and succeed across boundaries, whatever form those boundaries take. So what is CQ? There's a definition there, the capability to function and relate effectively in culturally diverse settings. It's not just a buzzword or a soft skill. It's grounded in solid intelligence research. In fact, it sits alongside IQ and EQ and draws on work from Dr. Robert Sternberg, who proposed 4 core factors that determine how intelligently a person responds in any context. The Cultural Intelligence Centre, which is the global authority for CQ and the developers of the CQ assessment, translated these into 4 practical capabilities of drive, knowledge, strategy, and behaviour. These 4 pillars form the basis for building real-world capability to work effectively across cultures, not just knowing more, but doing better. So let's break down the 4 capabilities of the CQ framework. First, on the top left-hand side, we've got CQ Drive, your level of interest, persistence, and confidence during multicultural interactions. And sitting behind this, we've got things like intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, and self-efficacy, which is your confidence when moving into a multicultural situation. Second, to the top right, we have CQ knowledge. This is your understanding about how culture works. It goes beyond general awareness and includes things like how business is done in different cultures. What are some of the differences in values and norms, how language and communication styles vary, and how leadership is expressed differently in those different cultural settings. Down to the bottom right, we have strategy, your ability to plan, interpret, and reflect in culturally diverse settings. How do you think about going into a setting where there might be people that are different from you? Are you able to adjust your behaviour or your thinking in the moment? And do you do any reflection after you've had the engagement and think about how that process went? Did it go well? Did it go badly? What can I do better next time? And finally, CQ action. This is where it shows up. It's about adjusting your verbal and non-verbal behaviour, the words you choose, the tone and delivery, and your body language. Together, these 4 capabilities allow you to operate effectively in dynamic, multicultural situations. So now that we've covered the framework, I want to shift to how some key cultural norms influence decision-making, especially in high-stakes areas like health and safety. Firstly, this point draws upon the INSHPO, a global capability framework, which outlines the capabilities required of occupational health and safety professionals. And one of those capabilities is the ability to build a web of relationships to influence change. So influence isn't just about technical knowledge or compliance. It's about how we show up in relationships, how we communicate, and how we build trust across different groups and stakeholders. To influence effectively, you must understand your own context, your personal style, your strengths, and your blind spots. That means asking, how do I communicate under pressure? What's my approach to change and uncertainty? How do I express emotions, and how do I read others? What's my decision-making style, and how do I build and sustain interpersonal relationships? And lastly, how do I respond to stress? Emotional intelligence plays a huge part here, and so does authenticity, which is the ability to stay true to your values while adapting to different audiences. High influence isn't about being loud and persuasive. It's about being trusted, self-aware, and adaptable. The more culturally and emotionally intelligent you are, the more effective you become as an agent of change. Now to some of the cultural values. Power distance, so cultural values shape how people make decisions, often more than rules or logic. And what do health and safety people spend most of their lives doing? Selling rules and logic. So understanding the dominant values within the cultural clusters that you're working with is a critical part of building your own cultural intelligence. These clusters aren't rigid. They're patterns, they're not stereotypes, but they help us understand how people tend to think, lead, and respond. One of the most influential values worldwide is power distance. In high power distance cultures, hierarchy is expected. Leaders are respected, authority is rarely challenged, and decision-making is top-down. This contrasts with low power distance cultures where flatter structures, open dialogue, and shared decision-making are preferred. Globally, high power distance is more common. If you're assuming everyone values egalitarianism and open challenge, you might be missing the mark. So ask yourself, in this context, what does respect look like? Who is expected to speak and when? Another key cultural value that strongly influences decision-making is where people fall on the spectrum between collectivism and individualism. In individualistic cultures, people see themselves as independent. Personal achievement, self-expression, and individual rights are prioritised. In collectivist cultures, identity is rooted in group membership, whether that's family, tribe, or team. Group harmony, loyalty, and shared success matter the most. Of course, there is diversity within diversity, and we should avoid slipping into stereotypes. But these patterns help us to understand how values show up in real behaviour. Here's the tension. Most global leadership content, whether that's books, courses, seminars, are written from an individualist, egalitarian lens. Yet about 70% of the world operates from a collectivist and hierarchical perspective. This gap is where misunderstanding creeps in and where CQ becomes essential. So again, ask yourself, are you leading or influencing in a way that aligns with the cultural values of the people that you're working with? So we'll move on to another cultural value known as uncertainty avoidance. And this refers to how comfortable people are with ambiguity, risk, and the unknown. In low uncertainty avoidance cultures, people are generally more flexible and adaptable. They're comfortable working with fluid plans and changing conditions, something that's increasingly valuable in today's VUCA world. In contrast, high uncertainty avoidance cultures prefer structure. People expect detailed instructions, rely on formal rules, and feel more confident where expectations are clearly laid out. Understanding people's tolerance or intolerance for uncertainty helps us communicate better, create safer workplaces, and design systems that includes everyone. Competitive and cooperative, and in the interest of time, I'll just quickly blast through this one. Obviously, a couple of competing values there. Really what it's saying is that both of these sides of the spectrum are both interested in the recognition and achievement. It's just that they go about achieving things and creating relationships in different ways. And so, you know, just again ask that similar question, what does success look like in this culture and how is it expected to be achieved? Finally, the last cultural value I want to comment on is context, specifically the difference between direct and indirect communication. In high context cultures, communication relies heavily on what's unsaid. Meaning is found in tone, silence, body language, and shared understanding. Messages are often indirect to maintain harmony and avoid confrontation. You'll often see this in East Asian cultures where subtlety is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's a way of showing respect, preserving relationships, and avoiding public embarrassment. In contrast, low context cultures value directness. People are expected to say exactly what they mean. Clarity, efficiency, and honesty are prized. And the spoken word carries more weight than the unspoken. This value often shows up in Western business cultures where being too indirect may be viewed as being evasive or unclear. Neither approach is better, just different. But if we misread the signals, we risk miscommunication, frustration, or even offence. CQ gives us the awareness to pause and ask, am I reading the full message or just the words? Quickly, some findings from recent research in the CQ space. Firstly, it's been shown that being culturally intelligent can reduce anxiety, and studies have shown that being around people who are different from us increases anxiety. It's human nature, but high cultural intelligence helps reduce that anxiety, and that's not just good for inclusion, it's good for well-being. And I think given the global mental health crisis that we've heard about earlier and the pushback against some diversity and inclusion efforts, I think this is a crucial finding. Secondly, psychological safety. Many organisations promote psychological safety but do not fully understand what it really means across cultures. True psychological safety allows people to speak up, disagree, and take risks without fear. The key challenge, creating culturally intelligent environments where diverse perspectives are encouraged, not avoided, and where difference is seen as a strength, not a threat. That's where CQ becomes critical. Lastly, is about inclusive leadership, talking about emotional intelligence and how it works well in monocultural settings because it helps build likability and trust, where people share similar backgrounds, but in diverse teams, cultural intelligence is a stronger predictor of leadership effectiveness. Why? Because CQ helps us to read the room when values, expectations, and communication styles vary. And that's what inclusive leaders do best. They adapt, connect, and build trust across cultures. Just again, in the interest of time, and I'm assuming people get a copy of this presentation, so I won't dig deep into these questions, but there's some questions here that you might ask yourself as a leader, and you know, when you are dealing with people that you work with. How will I adjust my leadership style based on the people I'm meeting today? So that requires you to think about who you're going to meet today and what some of their cultural values might be. What diverse perspectives am I missing for decisions I need to make? Who's not in the room when you're making decisions that might impact them? So think about that as part of the process during that decision-making process. What's going on externally that I need to address? we've got plenty to think about in terms of what's going on externally, whether it's politically or socially, and how that might be impacting the people that are in the room. And how does my position influence the data I'm receiving? Think about how likely people are to challenge the pilot or the head chef or the doctor. So is your position stopping people reporting to you just because of that hierarchical situation? And what does clarity look like for the communications I'm reviewing or putting out today? So just thinking about the types of communication that the people that you are communicating with might prefer. To close, I want to leave you with a challenge. If we continue to ignore cultural intelligence as a critical capability, we do so at our peril. The ability of safety professionals to influence and lead and engage across diverse workforces is being compromised. Not because we lack technical skill, but because we're not equipped with the cultural tools that we need. It's time for organisations both globally and locally, including all of those involved in developing educational pathways for safety professionals, to move beyond just technical frameworks and start embedding communication protocols and CQ into what we teach. Cultural intelligence is not an optional add-on. It's a guiding light for curriculum designers, training organisations, and professional bodies shaping the future of OSH capability. Why is it critical? Because it helps us understand how and why people make decisions, and that is at the heart of influence, safety, and leadership. The future of safety depends on professionals who can lead across cultures, build trust across difference, and engage people where they are, not just where we are comfortable. Let's make CQ a standard, not a special feature. Well, look at that, right on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we have like a joint presentation from Nakahara and Kishi. So, thank you.
Be safe, everyone. In Japanese, go anzen ni. We in Japanese always start this phrase at the beginning of our talk. And today I'd like to add one more phrase. Be safe and stay healthy. So the objective of this is to remind the importance of safety and health to all workers. So I'd like to everyone here to bring back this Japanese customer to your country. And then I think it is a very good tool to remind the importance of occupational safety. So I'll start my presentation. Today, at the beginning of this session, a moderator had voting with the Slido. And the question was, what is the number one partnership? And the majority of answers, if my memory is correct, is occupational physicians and employees. Is it correct? So I like to focus on the partnership of employee in my presentation. And then in order to make, especially for employee in small and mid-sized enterprises, SMEs, and in order to support or pursue the partnership of the SMEs, in addition, I'd like to touch on the importance of partnership with government and industry and academia. And so in the first part, I'd like to touch on the Japanese current situation. And the second part, Dr. Kishi is sitting here, will present their example of our approaches. And this is secret, but I didn't know details about moderators. But I and we are thinking of inviting another speaker. So please enjoy our presentation later. I'm sorry, moderator. And so I'd like to start on my part. So in Japan, we're now in the paradigm shift of occupational safety and health strategy in Japan. So in Japan, Japanese occupational safety is based on the legal requirements for long years. So, and Occupational Safety Health Act says, when we have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. So all what we have to do is just complying with the regulation in the law. This kind of approach is, we say positive list management. So the problem of this approach is that the very important point, without list, we do not do nothing. As a result, the number of injuries in Japan is now slightly increasing. So the government understands that the limitation of this positive list approach. So that's why the government introduced a new approach, which is the risk-based approaches. And so, for example, last year, government introduced a risk-based chemical management regulation. And in addition, government sets a 14th Occupational Safety Health 5-year government plan. And at the first time, government introduced an autonomous occupational safety health activities, not limited to chemical management, but for other safety activities. So we are now in the compliance mode to switching to the commitment mode based on the risk assessment. So I'd like to show you the current organization stipulated by Occupational Safety and Health Act. And the top, we have the General Safety and Health Manager. And under that, Safety Manager and Health Manager's assignment is mandatory for companies over 50 employees. This is mandatory. So for this safety manager and health managers, they have to be trained or they have to have the certificate. And so they understand the OSH regulations. But the problem is that they are not trained enough for risk-based OSH management. As I explained in the previous page, we are now changing to the risk-based autonomous management, so they are not trained enough. The another issue is that I said these safety managers and health managers are mandatory for the companies over 50 employees, which means the SMEs under 50 employees are not covered with this system. So this is another issue. So OSH activities for SMEs are not fully covered under this OSH Act. So, as I said, government now introduced a new autonomous chemical management system. I'd like to touch on the organization under this new regulation. So the top is the General Safety and Health Manager. This is the same. But under the manager, we have to assign their chemical management and administrator and PPE administrator this time. The role and responsibility of them is to take a lead in a technical part of their chemical management. And so they instruct the managers or workers by administrators. And then outside this company, OSH experts such as occupational hygienists support their activities. This is a typical organization that government introduced for chemical management. The key for success, I think there are three key points for success. The first one, I think this is a very important, most important one, but this is the mindset change from compliance mode to commitment mode for the managers in line with the guideline. And so we have a tailwind in Japan that the visualization of corporate investment strategy for human capital are incorporated in Japan. So in general, safety and health are cost. But now we have to think safety and health are investment to protect their very precious human capital of each company. So everything is now changing. So this is very important. The second point is that the enhanced quantity or quality of OSH experts such as occupational hygienists. So there are only about 100 occupational hygienists in Japan. So this is another issue. I think this topic will be discussed tomorrow or another session in this 4 days event, I think. So I don't touch on this today. The last one is number 3, enhance activities of administrators here, and and workers. And so especially this is very tough, especially for SMEs because they have not enough human resources. So we'd like to focus on how to cope with this challenge. So this is the strategy for SME support. So government, Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare in Japan led the development of user-friendly DIY OSH tools with industry and academia. So the key point is the collaboration with the academia and industry. This is the key for success, I think, to develop the DIY OSH tools. And so DIY OSH tools can be used as a screening tool for workers. And then I think there are many difficult issues remaining. So OSH experts cope with the complicated issues. So the role and responsibility were divided for screening for workers and, for example, professional judgment for OSH experts. And in order to do that, we have to develop a DIY OSH tools for workers. So these are the example of DIY tools. The first one is Create Simple, free Microsoft Excel-based risk assessment tool for risk screening, which covers inhalation exposure risk, dermal exposure risk, and fire explosion risk. And the other one is manga and anime video training tools, easy training for foreign workers or for people who hate reading. So these two tools are presented after me by Dr. Kishi, and please enjoy. And another example of these DIY tools is PPE selection manual. For example, the combination of the material, the PPE gloves and handling materials or something like that. And another one is incidents database with illustration. And the last one is industry-specific manuals. For example, construction, painting, adhesive operation, or something like that. So these are the very easy, friendly, easy tools for workers, especially SMEs. So now my part finished now, and I'd like to pass over to Dr. Kishi and another secret presenter.
Thank you, Nakahara-san. So this is Takahiro Kishi, and nice to meet you, and be safe and be healthy. So from now on, I will introduce DIY tools developed jointly by the ministry, academics, and businesses, including SMEs. So first is Create Simple. This is an Excel-based DIY tool designed to enable users without specialized knowledge such as SMEs and the tertiary industries to conduct chemical risk assessment smoothly. So it was developed with advice from the people who may seem unrelated to chemicals, such as nail salons operators. So there were many requests to make the operation as simple as possible. So we designed it to be a simple question and answer format, allowing using to estimate risk with a single click. So in designing Create Simple, I interviewed not only academics, but also a wide range of business sizes, and always try to respond to their opinion as much as possible. So next, I will introduce training tool for manga, anime, and videos. So this DIY tool was developed with SMEs in mind. I interviewed not only businesses, mainly SMEs in over 100 industries, but also foreign workers. So as with Create Simple, we established a committee with a member from the ministry and academics to finalize this tool, but we placed highest priority on the opinion of businesses, especially SMEs. So then I prepared a short movie about these DIY tools. So I introduce a famous Japanese idol, will explain it to you.
Hello everyone, I'm Miku Hatsune. Today, I would like to introduce Create Simple and Anime Training Tool, which we have developed. First, let's talk about Create Simple. This is a tool that allows you to easily assess the risks of working with chemicals. In step 1, simply note the details of the work and select the number of substances you want to evaluate. The great thing about this tool is that it simultaneously evaluates not only inhalation risks, but also dermal absorption and physical risks. In step 2, enter each cast number and click the button on the left to automatically populate the necessary GHS information and risk assessment data. The data can be edited, so you can change it to new data yourself. Of course, you can also edit it if the information is not available in the tool's database. In step 3, select the handling conditions, such as the amount handled and ventilation conditions. Since dermal absorption and physical risks are also evaluated, select the glove wearing conditions and the presence or absence of ignition sources. Finally, click the left button to easily evaluate each risk. Risk level 4 indicates a high risk, while risk level 1 indicates a low risk. In this case, the health risks and physical risks associated with inhalation are particularly high. In such cases, clicking the right button allows you to consider what improvements can be made to reduce the risk. For example, you can see how reducing the handling volume or increasing the ventilation level affects the risk, making improvement points clear. In this way, Create Simple is a tool that can be used even by those who are not professionals in chemical risk assessment. I believe it is the most widely used chemical risk assessment support tool in Japan. It is freely available on the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare's website, so anyone can use it. Next, I will introduce Anime Training Tools. This is a training tool that teaches the basics of safety and health through anime. There are manga and anime versions, both of which are available in 14 languages. The videos are available on YouTube, and while the audio is in Japanese, but subtitles are provided, making it usable as content for learning Japanese as well. Additionally, there are various contents tailored to different industries and operations, each introducing the knowledge you need to acquire and typical accident cases. It covers not only manufacturing, but also industries like healthcare and hospitality. Like Create Simple, it's available for free on the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare's website, making it a convenient training tool for small and medium-sized businesses. That's all for now. Hatsune Miku introduced Japan's efforts in a short time. Hello, everyone.
So we have always created DIY tools that reflect the opinion of businesses, especially SMEs. This is because we believe that no DIY tools, no matter how wonderful, is meaningless if businesses cannot use it. So committees consisting of government and academics and established but OSH experts like me and Nakahara-san always stand between SMEs and the committees, gathering opinion from SME and providing feedback. So finally, I have summarized the key point. So workplace incident risks have significant impact on corporate sustainability and reputation. For SMEs in particular, this is a critical issue. Neglecting SMEs, which underpin economic activity, can hinder national economic growth. It is critical for industry, government, and academia, including OSH experts, to collaborate to support SMEs. Thank you for honorable judges and honorable chairman and audiences. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been, an hour, 45 minutes. So I think I need to move the slides though. It's not moving. So many thanks to all the speakers. Just a quick check, where are we? We'll take a break now, and just to stretch for about 10 minutes, then we'll start. But before we go, just to remind us, yes, this is World Assembly. I was really thinking we're going to have more people, but that's okay. We've got a great job to do, like I said at the beginning of the session. We want to really look at partnership, how we can move the dial forward in the occupational safety and health management using partnership. And you've listened to various speakers, a variety of topics. We need to put all of those together and to define what we're really going to put into our declaration. So that's going to be very important. Please keep the energy up. So let's take like a 10-minute stretch break, and let's come back. And what we'll do when we come back, we're going to sit in threes or fours. So make sure that you are like 3 or 4 on your table. If you're just one, try join a table so that we can have some meaningful conversations. Thank you. Okay, team, it's time to... Is it working? Hello? All right, please, let's get seated. We still have about an hour to go. So let's get seated in threes or 4. Yeah, I think the speakers too can move into the groups, so the speakers will encourage the groups to speak and interact. So speakers, you can move around the groups once the groups are set. Thank you. Make sure you're not sitting alone. Okay, team. Just before we jump into it, we've got some folks here from the ILO Youth Summit. They're about to leave, and they've been with us for like 2 hours now. We'd just like to hear their perspective, if they have any thoughts around partnership, and maybe how the older generation can partner more with the youths or something. So who's going to speak for the group? Thank you.
I'm only here because everyone else sat down first, I suppose. But thank you for having us. This has been awesome. We've loved listening to the workshops and all the speakers at this session. It's been fantastic. And maybe I will still pick on my team a little bit, if that's okay. A couple of thoughts that I had. I was on a research project recently in Nepal, and we were looking at the health of brick makers. And so in relation to partnerships, there was a team of occupational health students. Myself and Bryn were both on that team, which was really, really good. And then we also had on the team nursing students, and we had engineers, and we had public health students, and we had physiology majors. So we had a big range of students working on this project. And so these participants from the brick kilns would come through, and we'd collect a bunch of data from a lot of different elements of their life. And so I think in the relation to partnerships and looking at, we're all here focused very much on worker health, but I think just one of the thoughts that I had was that, health is a very holistic thing, right? It's not just, I think for many of us, work is a big part of that because, the average person spends about a third of their life at work. But at the same time, there are so many other factors that can be included into human health. And so it just kind of made me realize that there are so many other partnerships that need to be had, whether that's with primary care providers or emergency responders or dietitians or personal trainers, fitness trainers. There's so many other things that play into the health of people. And so that was kind of a thought that I had as far as the partnerships goes, that there can also be more communication between occupational health providers and any other kind of health or well-being provider. Those are a few of my thoughts. If it's okay, I'll pass it on to another teammate.
Sure. So some of my thoughts come from the clinical field, I guess. I want to be an occupational physician eventually. And so I work as a medical assistant right now. And I think the main thing that I've noticed in my own workplace or in other places that I've worked is just a lack of awareness of occupational health as a whole. A lot of people have heard of OSHA. They want to comply with regulations, but they don't necessarily know why we're taking occupational health so seriously, which is such a shame, really. But I think a lot of things can be missed by clinicians if we're not asking the right questions, if we're not asking what you do for work. Currently, I'm working at a dermatology clinic, and we see a lot of contact dermatitis, and I think, stopping exposure is the best way to treat a lot of illnesses rather than throwing topical steroids or other things at it. And so I have noticed as clinicians are asking these questions, we're able to kind of address the root of a lot of issues, which is really cool. So just increasing awareness, from any sector is really important for workers' health, and I think it can do a lot for us as we continue to make those partnerships. So, Jonah, Kaylee, do you have any other thoughts?
It's great to hear the thoughts of my teammates as well. I really enjoy them, and I love the new perspectives that everyone brings to the table. So I grew up with both of my parents being artists. My dad is a painter, and he teaches at an art university in Georgia right now, and my mom is a sculptor. And I started in music composition in college and switched to risk management and occupational and environmental health. So full 360 shift. But it's been interesting to see how those two fields have kind of aligned for me. And I would add to the conversation that there are a lot of different perspectives that we can welcome that may seem even unconventional to us in the occupational health and safety world. Those creative sides of things. I really liked how we touched up on psychological and physiological health as well. And I think that these holistic approaches are really healthy for those things. And yeah, I would just say I hope that we never shy away from having conversations with those who have different perspectives from us and come from very different career backgrounds, because there's always something that we can incorporate into what we're doing here.
I also want to thank everyone here. This has been such a great conference, and I've already learned so much on the first day. I'm kind of the one in the group that chooses not to speak so often, and they laugh because I always make them give the comments or I'll write my question and they'll read it for me. So if I lose my train of thought, just hang with me here. But as far as partnerships with young professionals, I would say this is a very large-scale example, but a very good example of how to get youth and young professionals invested in the industry. Obviously, this is really boosting us, this opportunity, and boosting us into our careers and more school and different things that we're doing. It's a great opportunity for us students and young professionals. In addition to that, I would just say local opportunities. So I think this is a really big conference. We're excited to be here, but we'll all go and do local conferences and meet with our local organizations. And inviting young professionals to those events is another great thing. I'm very glad to be here. And there's lots of more local organizations that we're involved with as well. And there's student chapters for safety professionals and industrial hygiene that we participated in university. And that was a great way for us to engage with professionals who have been in the industry for decades, and then us as students who don't know so much yet. Local organizations and developing student chapters, I think, is a great way to introduce more people and young professionals.
Great thoughts. Thank you very much. Partnership, ask the right questions, a mix of everything, bring in the youth. Thank you. A round of applause for them, please. You're welcome to stay on. All right, team, roll up your sleeves. There's work to do. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. Nathan has been doing a great job taking notes. We're going to make the compilation of our thoughts and outcome easy for him. So we're going to be using the Slido. So each desk should probably have someone that will report out and type our thoughts and just post it. And we're all going to see what each group is talking about. So I'll show the first questions that we're going to discuss. Hold on one sec. I hope I'm on the right one. Okay. All right. You need to scan the QR code again. Or maybe you still have it. But that's the question up there. What gaps or challenges exist to establishing OSH partnership or relationship with other professionals? What are the gaps? What are the challenges? You can make a list and yeah, let's see. What do you think are the gaps? I'm sure some of the presentations have covered the gaps, but we want to see the groups interacting and talking though, so. Yes, and please feel free to even write in Japanese, in Chinese, whatever. We're able to capture your thoughts in whatever language. So please feel free. So we're going to have 10 minutes for each one. But if all groups are done, just tell me we can move to the next question if you're done before 10 minutes. So max 10 minutes. like to do stuff on your own, but now you find yourself in health and safety space. How do you get there? You know what I mean? We're not taught that in school, right? How we're developed. It's not part of the curriculum. It's not. I was surprised to see when we did the polls to see employees' experience. For me, one of my biggest factors as a health and safety professional, if your employee or workers is not your partner, because you're only there for a quick moment, but whatever you tell them, how do you influence them? Once you leave, do they just behave because you're around, or you're able to like take in whatever you're telling them and they see it as the best way to behave? Yeah. So that's social part. I think should be part of how health and safety professionals are groomed. We need to be social beings. Anyway, okay, great job, team. Some good ideas coming up on the screen. Yeah, I can keep it coming, but we're going to move to the next question now. Is someone still posting? But you can still post even if I move to the next question. Thank you. Now we've got the problems. Now it's what are the ideas? How can we solve the problems? So we need ideas, we need solutions. I'm sure as you probably put up the problems, you should think about solutions as well.
Okay. All right, team. It's not working. Okay, team. Let's move on to the next question. You can keep typing on this one if you want, but let's move on to the next question. Do you have any calls to action regarding partnership with other professionals? Remember, it's the World Assembly. We're going to be making declaration, and we try to promote this across the globe. So you're doing a great job. Keep going. Thank you. So if you could think about it this way, if you're going to put one line in the declaration that we're going to make, what would that be on partnership? No, I'm just saying, please write as many ideas as you want to write. Thank you. Great work, team. Okay, great work, team. Thank you so much. You're doing very well. I think we've got a few more questions, maybe two more, actually. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Now, let's talk about cultural intelligence here. So how do we integrate this into training programs without overwhelming the already packed curricula? I'm sure Greg doesn't have all the answers, so. Thank you very much. You're doing very great. Next question. Wait, okay, thank you. What great ideas. Thank you very much. Greg's team, they're still typing. Okay, go ahead. All right. Good? Not yet? But even if I move the slide, right, you can still type in that one. Oh, good. Thank you very much. All right, this is important and interesting, right? Synergy between occupational physicians and occupational health practitioners. Who's calling out Canada? So if you say there's something working well, please can you just highlight what's working? Let's be very specific. What's working? If you have something that is going on well, kindly share what's working. Thank you. They worked well in the US. What exactly is working well in the US? I think I hear Australia too. There's something going on good in Australia. What exactly is it? Thank you very, very much. My job is almost done. In the next 10 minutes, I'll be handing over to Nathan. But one last question for you guys. Thanks for the energy. So Nancy talked about 2 ppm. So how can we deploy partnership to solve that problem? So how can partnership help? 2 occupational hygienists serving 1 million people. So how can we deploy partnership to solve the problem? Thank you. You know, it's an interesting way to run a workshop. Everyone is just typing and no one is speaking. So I'm going to just throw in something in for the next 2 minutes. I'm going to bring the mic to your table. So, yeah. Hi. Who wants to speak for the group or say loud what you're talking or what you... Okay. Do you want me to start?
It's really good to just hold it, actually.
What we would talk about was, that education is, of course, very important, and awareness, being visible, I think, is important. Lead by example, engage the youth. How do you get the youth engaged in this topic? I've got a colleague who's actually writing books on an occupational hygienist as a head person, which I think was a good idea. And we also thought legal authorization for occupational professionals, for example, the Korean example. And what we could also, we're considering recognition of occupational hygiene as a profession by ILO. Then it's worldwide, could help maybe. So that's what we were talking about in relation to this last question.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give to another group. Want to speak for this group? It could be the summary of everything you've talked about. Yeah, we're wrapping up actually, and we're just giving Nathan time to finish up. You ready? Okay, let's hear from this group before you speak, Nathan.
Oh gosh, I don't remember everything, but so at least for this question about how can we forge impactful partnerships and increase occupational hygiene recognition or the amount of hygienists. One thing we talked about was schools and reaching out to young kids. So this is something that ASSP did really well years ago, and AIHA started with some initiatives and campaigns. But presenting this as an interesting career path. We do science, we do art, we are involved with people. So getting that in the minds of young people sooner. And what was the other thing? I don't remember. Oh, we talked about approaching maybe like current partners or the start of a partnership to say, maybe to present the value that we bring as a profession, and then ask, for help on how can you help us. Maybe like we need to increase the awareness on what we can do, and then ask people to help how they can help elevate us.
Thank you very much. Nathan, we have 2 minutes.
Ours is really simple. Oh, wow. Loud voice. Ours is really similar to, I think, what Sam was saying there around how do we actually educate kids. We were all kind of sharing our experience of how we got into occupational hygiene, and usually you do something else before you realise that this is a profession. So I think, getting out there in schools is where we need to start, because, the other opportunity is with university students already engaged in courses, but to get people thinking about this as their first profession choice, we need to educate young children. And we talked about health and safety being, on the curriculum from a young age. I've got a son who is 6, and he's learning about his body and health and what's safe. And I think, he's definitely not getting any messaging around occupational hygiene and those risks. And I think there's a great opportunity there. So, one thing we could think about doing is, generating some books and resources that are really age appropriate for young children, and start that conversation early, as other professions have done really effectively.
Thank you very much. One person from this table.
Well, we had quite same discussions, but I'd like to bring a different approach with respect to collaboration. It's being able to go outside of the box, because we mentioned about maybe being part of organizing committee of conference, that upcoming conference, that they will talk about construction, and we become part of this organizing committee and saying we'd like to introduce a module of 2-3 presenters that will talk about OSH in your construction conference. And same for financing, accounting, places where we are out of the box. Because we often speak in conference where we're all together and all agreeing, but we need to go outside. And that's why I mentioned at some point, when we'll integrate finance in OSH, just like finance was integrated in environment with the carbon trade and all that, when the company will include their IH performance in their annual report, that will put pressures on the financing institution, on the company, and we'll see lots of changes related to that. So that's a brief, it's not necessarily a summary, but it's just a different angle.
Thank you very much.
It's probably not something that we talked about throughout the whole conversation, but thinking about partnerships and what's working, and to wave a New Zealand flag, we've got an organisation very similar to INSHPO, except it covers all of the professions deemed to work in the health and safety sort of space. So hygienists, ergonomists, physios, occupational therapists, safety engineers, hazardous substances people, generalists, and there's a formal group. They've been in place now since 2014. Look, it's not perfect, but it's providing an opportunity for collaboration, partnerships to be created. You know, yes, the hygiene space in New Zealand is very small, but so is the ergonomist space. So those two types of professions can work together on shared initiatives and those sorts of things. And I think the one thing that's made it particularly successful is that the chair is independent of all of them. It's not somebody who is also the president or the CEO or the whatever of one of them. It's a totally independent person, and that was one of the best sort of structural things that was put in place in the early days.
Okay, just one word.
Just one word that, you know, most professions need to get some points to maintain their certification. So for many organizations, they require, the one that is mostly required for most of organizations is ethics. You know, you need to go through a 2-hour ethics every 3 years. Having many other organizations saying you also need a 2-hour OSH to maintain your certification. That would be very interesting to see.
Great thoughts. Thank you very much. Nathan has really been doing a lot of hard work trying to put all our thoughts together to summarize it. So let's give him time to just tell us. So listen to him very carefully. If he misses out anything, please, he can just raise a hand and he can add to the list. Thank you. Nathan, over to you.
You all summed that up beautifully. I don't have any more to add. Let's go get a beer. Just joking, just joking. Okay, so Matthew began the session by asking us, will partnerships help to further reduce injuries and incidents? And then he went on to also ask us, can we further strengthen existing partnerships? So Dr. Park shared how occupational hygienists would benefit from utilisation of AI tools, and that this would require them establishing partnerships with AI specialists to be able to integrate the inputs, the outputs of their hygiene monitoring tools with inputs such as ChatGPT, and to be able to more quickly and effectively analyse hygiene monitoring data. Dr. Park also proposed the establishment of an AI committee, so I'll leave that one with Nancy and Matthew to consider in due course. Then it was on to Nancy. So Nancy informed us that IOHA is currently focusing on building and strengthening meaningful partnerships, and stated, when we work together, we can accomplish more than when we labour individually. Nancy also highlighted a number of issues that hygienists need to tackle. The one that stood out to me the most was outdated models, which as a toxicologist I very much appreciate that even though 81% of worker fatalities are from chronic exposures, they don't get anywhere near the same attention that the risks that result in injuries from a acute exposure received. So hence, what new models, OHS models, would make organisations give chronic exposure risks the amount of attention they deserve. Nancy raised the issue of the silence from workers regarding their mental health as a result of exposure to social risks in the workplace, and also informed us that there's only 2 hygienists per million workers around the world. I don't know what the number for OHS professionals is, but I'm gathering it's probably a little bit more than that. Nancy also brought our attention to the Global Occupational Health and Safety Coalition, an important global partnership that IOHA are involved in that is promoting the reconvening of the joint ILO and WHO Committee on Occupational Health, and also the ratification of the OSH-related ILO conventions. Then it was on to Greg, and Greg highlighted in New Zealand, they speak about the importance of genuine relationships built on trust and shared purpose. The complexity of modern workplaces demand interdisciplinary collaboration, cultural intelligence and mutual respect. Also that strong and technical expertise and cognitive skills alone are not sufficient in an increasingly connected world. Greg emphasised the need for OSH professionals to not only be aware of cultural intelligence, but to develop the capability to adapt to the cultural factors of those that they're attempting to and need to establish partnerships with. Greg highlighted that the INSHPO Global Capability Framework includes the need for OSH practitioners and professionals to have the ability to build a web of relationships, to be able to influence others, to bring about organisational change. And then Greg concluded by challenging us to make cultural intelligence a standard, not a special feature. Nakahara opened by reminding us not only to be safe, but also to stay healthy. His presentation focused on partnerships with employees and small and medium enterprises, and then moved on to partnerships with government, industry and academia. Nakahara highlighted the partnerships between the IOHA certified occupational hygienists, occupational hygiene consultants, occupational safety consultants and other equivalent experts as required. Then Takahiro Kishi shared with us the Create Simple Risk Assessment tool and the associated Magna Anime video training, developed in conjunction and partnership with a wide range of not only academics, but also business leaders and workers. Then our ILO Youth Summit participants shared their thoughts, and Parker Williams told us about working on a project in Nepal regarding brick manufacturing workers, when there was a multidisciplinary team of nurses, occupational physicians, engineers, OHS professionals and others. And then Carly Parker stated, as far as partnerships with young professionals go, this GISHW event is a good example and a good way to get more youth involved in the profession. Student chapters of professional membership associations are also a great way to encourage the youth to join their professions. We then moved on to the various questions after our break that we asked. So the first question was regarding what are the gaps and challenges with establishing partnerships. So what we did was, or I did, was quickly cut and paste all of your answers from Slido, and we pasted them into ChatGPT to ask us to give a summary of what are the gaps and challenges. So number one was different languages and lack of understanding. So professionals don't always understand each other's roles or use common language. So this is not even within the one language, the actual words used. Number two was siloed and comfort zones. OSH professionals often stay within their own fields. Partnerships aren't taught or encouraged. Number three was cultural and diversity barriers. Cultural differences, gender bias and lack of awareness limit collaboration. Number four was perceived competition. Fear of overlap or losing influence discourages cooperation. Number five, systemic barriers. So bureaucracy and lack of formal structures hinder cross-sector engagement. Number six, limited opportunities and awareness. So there are few chances to connect with other sectors. Occupational hygiene remains under-recognised. So does that sound like a fair summary of all the answers you provided to the gaps and challenges? Yep. All right. Innovative ideas. So the responses we got in relation to innovative ideas were shared goals and early engagement. So focus on common worker outcomes like total worker health. Also create joint conferences or early career professionals to build partnership mindsets. The second innovative idea was around creative communication education. Use manga, animation and videos to explain OSH concepts, especially in industries unfamiliar with the field. Also to introduce age-appropriate OHS education from early schooling. Number 3 was new platforms and tools. So build an AI-powered multilingual online hub to connect partners and solve problems collectively. Also to build a partnership matchmaker, aka Tinder, service and searchable issue database directory. I know which table that come from. Policy, system and change, add OHS roles into legislation. I know that's something that the Australian Institute of Health and Safety has been pushing for in Australia for a while. Offer insurance premium discounts to organisations with OSH reviewed programs. And the third one under the policy and system change was design systems to cut through bureaucracy and promote collaboration. Number 4 creative idea was frameworks and recognition. So establish a standard partnership framework, something that's aligned to ISO 45001. Also to create ways to recognise and reward teamwork in innovation and discovery. And then the last innovative idea header was cross-sector and cultural integration. That had 3 sub-parts to it. So partner with public health unions and other sectors, promote cultural intelligence through education, curiosity and outreach, and support non-OSH events and planning to build visibility and influence. So does it sound like ChatGPT's appropriately summarised your innovative ideas? Got one more here. What was? Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, we can discuss that after. Recommendations and calls to action. So come up with 4 recommendations or calls to action. So number 1 was promote interdisciplinary collaboration. So 2 parts of this were encouraging mixing of professionals across fields to break silos, and part B, create cross-functional opportunities to build common language and solve shared problems. 2, raise awareness and visibility. Increase global visibility of OSH and promote safety, health and wellbeing as a fundamental right. Part B, engage with educators, youth and communities to build awareness early. 3, support in low recognition regions. Provide resources, support and partnerships in countries with weak or no OHS frameworks. Part B, strengthen global solidarity and collaboration. And then our 4th call to action was invest in education and cultural intelligence. So integrate OSH and cultural intelligence into curricula across all disciplines. So it seems like Greg's presentation's had a bit of an influence there, with cultural intelligence mentioned in, I think, every one of those in some way. And that's the summary. Are there anything else? So, sorry, the other 2 questions we didn't specifically ask were, why is this workshop theme matter relevant to designing future society for our lives, which is the theme for the entire World Expo, not just GISHW. So my first crack at this was, it's relevant because we want everyone to go home safe, healthy and happy, free of injury and illness, both physical and psychological, and we're more likely to achieve that through partnerships and relationships with others. And then in terms of the second question here is, what key themes from World Assembly participants and who needs to hear them? So what are the key themes? And I think in my mind, the key themes are really the calls to actions. So just to repeat those again, promote interdisciplinary collaboration, raise awareness and visibility, support in low regulation regions, and invest in education and cultural intelligence. Sound fair? Yep. All right, I'll hand it back over to Matthew to close it out.
I think it's been some good 3 hours well spent. And I think I will just close by thanking the participant first Thank you for coming to the sessions. Round of applause for all the participants. I'll thank the speakers as well, Greg, Nancy, Takahiro, Kishi. Who didn't I mention? Dr. Park, yeah, where is he? Okay, a round of applause for them, please. Nathan, thank you very much, great work. And so the technical crew, the support team as well, thank you very much. Okay, we'll do that. Remember, there was a slide about what we do when we leave this place, you know. Keep the partnership conversation going. Take away some of the ideas that you heard or read for immediate implementation. And let's continue to build very meaningful partnership. Thank you very much, everyone. See you around. So speakers, picture time.